Harley-Davidson. It's a name anybody will recognize. But why? It started in 1903 when William Harley and Arthur Davidson sold their first motorcycle from their backyard. The rest is history. When I say Harley-Davidson, the first image that appears before you is probably something like what you see on the screen right now. While cruisers have been Harley's brand identity and dominating segment for as long as most people remember, let me tell you a little story. Harley's founders were not only businessmen but also avid motorcyclists who enjoyed biking in all conditions. In addition to conquering the roads, they also emerged victorious in endurance races and toured across every terrain possible. So you may be wondering if back in the day there was a Harley designed for the beaten path? Well, there were quite a few actually. There was the 1914 Model 10F, which was good for multi-terrain transcontinental rides. There was the Sport model, which boasted a high fuel economy, less weight and small size and was sold for a wide variety of activities. And there was also the XLCH Sportster, which was launched in 1958 after highway started modernizing. But the trend for endurance and trials biking was in full swing. Quite a magnificent genesis in the off-road department then, a legacy of spirit and versatility. Well, today in 2021, I'm delighted to say that that same legacy has returned. We literally filmed the walk around video of this bike just a short while back and I'm still very much in awe of its presence. In fact, now I think it looks even more magnificent. I think it's got something to do with the fact that last time we filmed it in a mall complex. And well, this time we're someplace different. Today, I'm gonna bring you our amazing Harley-Davidson Pan America full detailed review. My name is Devashish Puranik, you're watching Ignite Motorrad, and today right here, the Pan America has come home. The state of tune of the Revolution Max 1250 is something which you don't really see on a lot of Harley bikes. Well, that was to be expected since this is an all-new type of motorcycle for Harley-Davidson altogether. It's an adventure tourer, so we were gonna expect something different, right? This engine is actually happier at the mid and top ends more, which is not usually Harley's thing. So if you've already got a few Harley-Davidsons in your garage and you're thinking of adding the Pan Am to your collection, thinking that well, it might be a similar state of tune, it's time to recalibrate. Compared to existing Harley-Davidsons, on paper, the Pan America has much more promising specifications and technology. But as anybody who knows a thing or two about motorcycles will tell you, you don't ride motorcycles on paper. On an open stretch of road, the torque from the Revolution Max absolutely catapults you ahead and the boost is unbelievable. There's mostly enough power available throughout the rev range, but you can definitely feel the bike coming into form during and after the mid-range. That said, there is a small amount of occasional engine knocking while doing low speeds on relatively high gears. The riding position is extremely comfortable and very commanding, and I can see long hours on the Pan Am being quite enjoyable. The bike is really easy to ride as well. It simply glides over the road surface, regardless of whether you're doing 150 on an open road or 5 in bustling traffic. The sound, I'm going to say, isn't really very Harley-like. It's a little understated, but to be honest, on an ADV, I'd prefer that over the continuous classic Harley thump over a long distance ride. The engine does have a unique and not very Harley-ish but very characterful exhaust sound higher in the RPM bands though, which is really nice to listen to and easy on the ears at the same time. Getting to maneuverability, this is where the Pan Am takes a tiny bit of a hit in my opinion. The bike feels a little front heavy, but considering the sheer size and weight of this beast, it still performs really well. The bulk of this machine, which seems to vanish on open stretches and even in traffic, does show itself a tiny bit when you decide to show some enthusiasm with the steering input. But overall, the Pan Am does a really fantastic job of managing its weight and size. I had a conversation with our test rider later on after we had both ridden the bike to a good extent, and some really interesting points came up which we both agreed with. First of all, even though this is an ADV, it still feels very much like a Harley-Davidson. It hasn't lost any of that DNA, and I'm pretty happy with that. The Revolution Max engine, however, is a truly amazing engine, there's no denying that, and is for sure one of the best Harley engines yet. The previous power plants like the Project Rushmore and Milwaukee 8 were all about torque and feel, whereas here they've prioritized power output as well, and you can feel that every time you twist the throttle. This is also one of the first engine units where Harley-Davidson has openly disclosed their power figures. This is a very powerful bike, there's no two ways about it. The suspension is bang on as well, whether you're on the road or off it. Potholes and speed breakers are no longer something you have to worry about, since the mighty Pan Am will swallow any surface irregularity that's thrown its way. As a tool for bashing about on loose surfaces where there is no road, this bike is in a league of its own. It's very friendly and easy to control on pretty much any surface, and of course you have the vast riding mode menus as well as ABS and traction control settings to make sure you extract the most off-road performance imaginable from this magnificent machine. The headlight unit is super bright and does a great job at illuminating the path ahead, and the amazing cornering lights sweeten the deal even more. The Pan America's slightly higher weight makes itself known off-road as well, and a slight overall weight drop in the bike would have probably resulted in more overall agility off the road as well as on it. But hey, we're not complaining at all, because overall the riding experience of this bike is outright terrific and had us all smiling ear to ear. While it is a very impressive package overall, I'm of the opinion that Harley could have done a better job in putting this package together. There's a few small things on the Pan Am that I wish had been done differently. For instance, the switch gear controls are a little complicated and will take some getting used to, and despite there being so many buttons here, they aren't backlit, which is something I really expected from an adventure bike, especially at this price point. The plastics don't have a very premium feel to them, and in some places they just feel low rent. The knuckle guard fittings at the end of the handlebars are basically just slip-on clamps, which is absolutely fine. However, they come off quite frequently while riding the bike, which isn't so fine. Also, the TFT is a touch-sensitive panel, which is great, but it's not what you'd call intuitively designed. These are minor niggles in an overall great experience, and I'm sure most of them can be things that you can get used to over a period of time. That said, there is definitely scope for improvement here. Prospective buyers might want to know how the Pan America is to ride in the urban jungle, in the city where it's gonna spend probably most of its time if this is gonna be your only bike, which is an unlikely possibility, but it still exists. You might be hoping that maybe it heats up less than the cruiser Harleys and maybe, it won't fry your legs as much. Well, I can assure you that that is very much not the case. The Pan America will still fry your legs off in the traffic. So my advice to you, if you're gonna buy this, make sure you have maybe another bike for the city. Take this out on tours, take it for off-roading, but I would not recommend urban use, especially in start-stop traffic. So now we've established that the Pan America is an absolute monstrosity of a tourer and can tackle anything that nature throws its way. On the topic of nature, this isn't just a tourer, let's remember that. This is an adventure tourer, and the first part of that bike type is where this bike really comes into its own, when the road ends and nature begins. The Pan Am is equipped with combined brakes which you can switch off while off-roading if you want. And don't worry, this bike is a total nerd fest. You can set it up exactly as you like. 5 riding modes, a fully programmable riding mode means you can set up this machine exactly as you want it, regardless of whether you're on the road or off it. However, I'll tell you what I think. I think once you've set it off for off-road and then you've gone off the beaten path into the trails, I don't think you're going to want to come to tarmac anytime soon. Now the special and standard variants of this bike have quite a bit of a price gap, around 3 lakh rupees actually. So what do you get in this bike, the special, that you don't get in the standard? The special is equipped with engine guards, frame guards, knuckle guards, a headlight guard up front and a center stand, which the standard misses out on. More notable changes include the heated grips, which will for sure be super effective and useful in cold climates, as well as Olin steering dampers, adaptive headlights, an aluminium skid plate and even an onboard tire pressure monitoring system. The special also comes with the option of tubeless wire spoke wheels. However, there's one insane feature that the special gets that makes all the rest of these additions sound absolutely trivial, and that is the electronic suspension. That's correct, the Pan America Special hosts semi-active electronically adjustable front and rear suspension units by Showa, which allows customers to activate the adaptive ride height feature via the TFT. This enables the Pan Am to drop its seat height from 869 mm to 830 mm. That's not all this clever suspension does though. The Showas continuously monitor weight input and riding scenario and adjust various suspension parameters like the preload, sag and ride height automatically on the fly. For example, when you're at standstill, the seat height drops for a more comfortable stationary foot position on the ground, and the height rises again when you're on the move again for maximum ground clearance. So rest assured, the extra 3 lakhs for the special on top of the standard is definitely being put to good use. So that's the Harley-Davidson Pan America 1250 for you. It's a crazy new radical addition to Harley-Davidson's lineup, and my god am I happy that this is part of the HD family. I love ADVs, I love Harleys. This is a marriage made in heaven. Actually, it's a marriage made in Milwaukee, which is about to mark its presence across the globe. So if you're thinking of buying a new Harley, you now have a very new interesting flavor of motorcycle to choose from. If you don't want a cruiser, this is your alternative option, and it's a damn good one. If you want to get it, prices for the standard start at 16.9 lakhs and prices for the special, which is what this is, cost 19.9 lakhs. I'm Devashish Puranik, you're watching Ignite Motorrad, and ride safe.